I'm processing a voice captured in a well-treated room with a high-quality interface and a great microphone. When all of those parts are done correctly, the result is outstanding, and I'm going to show you what that sounds like. I'm Lenny B, voiceover audio engineer. Let's make your voice sound better. Before we get started, I want to share a little something with you today, just a bit of experience when it comes to learning plugins or learning a new software, all those type of technological things that we deal with in the audio world that have a learning curve, and I think everybody can relate a little bit to this. You know, let's take, for instance, this one plugin here, the Scheps Omni Channel, which is one of my favorites, but it's complicated. I mean, it has a preamp, it's got a gate, it's got a de-esser, it's got an EQ, it's got compression, and then it's got the ability to add more to it. You could actually input another Waves plugin into here or add any one of these Scheps processors to the end of the chain, and you could actually move them around too. You could do a ton of stuff. The list goes on and on. It's very complicated, and if you open this up and you just maybe purchase it and you love the way that it sounds, but then you look at it and you go, oh my God, I have no idea what's going on. This is what I want you to understand, and this will help you get through that learning curve. I believe it helps me. This piece of equipment, this technology right here, programmers, developers, a number of people, a team of people, quality control people, technical writers and marketing people and more developers and more programmers all had meetings and that went on forever and ever to try to figure out how to make this as easy as possible for us to use, right? They've really worked hard. I mean, I know for a fact that one of their goals was to try to make this very easy to use once you understand it. And that happens a lot with technology. It's part of the development process is to try to make it as easy as possible. Everybody wants that Apple interface that is just intuitive. So when you look at this, I want you to change your mindset a little bit, change the way you approach it, because it's not, oh my God, this is so complicated, I'll never figure this out. Your mindset should be, okay, there's a lot here, I just haven't figured out the intended path that they want me to follow yet. But it's there. There is, when you look at this and when you break it down and figure it out, there is a way they want you to use this that's very easy and intuitive and actually helps you and is quicker than it was before. Any new piece of technology usually has that. So keep that in mind when you're feeling a little bit intimidated or overwhelmed with all the buttons and knobs and stuff. And there's a lot here. So I understand. I just wanted to kind of give you that perspective because I think about that often. It's like when I get stuck, I just go, okay, what do they want me to find here? It's there, and I just haven't found it yet. So I'm less apt to get defeated or feel defeated, I think is what I wanted to share with you. Well, the audio today is from a voiceover talent from Tennessee. His name is Sam Stout, and he's got a wonderful voice. He's using a Neumann TLM 103, which is also the microphone I'm using now. He has a Universal Audio Apollo interface, which is also the interface I use on a regular basis. And he's recording into Adobe Audition. I'm using Apple's Logic Pro to illustrate what we've got here. So first I want to play you the raw audio. It's only a small little clip here that he has, but I want you to listen to the texture of his voice. I want you to listen to the tones and listen to the frequencies and how even the frequencies are spread out. Maybe if some are over-accentuated more than others. I want you to listen for all that stuff here, and we'll play it back a few times. So this is what it sounds like.
Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. 77 years ago, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
We've got some good levels, input and output meter here I always have on the right side when I'm doing some processing. I'm hearing a little to no reflections or any external internal noise in his room. So it's recorded really well. He's using great gear. He's got a great voice. And it's really wonderful to have a piece of clay to mold with processing when you have that. And I'd venture to say that this is one of the best outcomes I think I've ever heard with the correct processing from a voice that's where all that is done so well. What I do for my clients is exactly this. I listen to the audio that you send me. I suggest some equipment, connection, room treatment changes if necessary. There aren't any in this case. Then I create a custom processing setting for the voice. It's tuned specifically for your tone, for your microphone in your room. And everybody's voice and everybody's room is different. So this is kind of a custom chain I've put together to really give him a huge processed sound that he's able to import into his Adobe Audition, and then he has this sound every time he pushes record. He's got the sound that he wants if he wants to use it for a particular project. Sometimes you're using it and you want to send out just raw audio. Maybe that's what your client's asking for. It all depends on the situation. You could send me your voice if you'd like me to process your audio. And if you're looking to improve your voice sound, I've got training courses and free techniques and training on my website, lennyb.com. All right. Also, if you're a fan of this Waves Scheps Omni Channel, and you may be after you hear this if you haven't yet, I've got a 10% off code on my in the description. I'll put that in a link too. I know a lot of the subscribers to the channel and folks that reach out to me, they buy it because they love the way it sounds here on a voice after seeing some of the videos. So 10% off code in the description. All right, let's talk about what I've done here. I am going into the Pro Q3 first by Fabfilter. It's a great plugin. It's very easy to use. For EQ, all of their stuff is really great. And let's listen to before and after just the EQ and hear what kind of EQ work I'm doing on the voice you heard on that raw file. I'll activate it and take it out of the chain so you can hear the difference.
Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. 77 years ago, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Now, it's an interesting thing here. It's such a small tweak that I've done. You know, these are just 3. One of them is almost 6 dB, and they're very thin frequency bands that I'm attenuating, I'm lowering. And that's just the extra resonance in his voice in the low mid-range here. And there's a little dip I did, which is barely anything. What is that? It's not even a decibel. So the cool thing about the waves is that you can select a frequency range.
Now.
And you can hear just that range. What is that? Let's see. 297. So you could really dial in exactly what you want. 297 is where it was.
Dedicated to the proposition that...
So it really lets you focus and get real surgical, as they call it, and find exactly what you're looking to do. But with that detail that it allows me, I can just go and make some minute changes that I know when I build this entire chain, it comes out to make a big difference. And that's one of the reasons why I love the Pro Q3 from Fabfilter. So that is going first in the chain. Then we're working on the Scheps Omni Channel. Now, I just, every time I use it, I just love this thing more and more. It's just got everything you need, and I love the way the EQ sounds. The curves are really great on the EQ. So I'm giving him a little bit of saturation, which is, it adds thickness to the voice in the lower end. It's the even harmonics, it gives it more of a lower kind of a crunch, but it's barely there. It gives it just a little grit. And I'm not using much of it. And then, and that's about it on his voice. Sometimes I like to use this low thump, which is a little bit of a resonance boost on the very, very low frequencies. We're using the gate, the expander part of the gate, and that really cleans up any of the noise or the breaths that he takes. They're still in there, but it's very transparent. We're using de-esser, and I'm taking just under 5K. I'm reducing some of the sibilance here with the de-esser, but I'm also taming a little bit of the high frequency S's in his voice too. So there was actually 2, and I'm able to process them separately. So I've got 2 de-essers working on 2 different ranges. One is, what is this here? This is 97, almost 10K, and this one is 4,800. I'm accentuating the air in his voice. We have a little clarity coming out. This is, what is this, on 1K, and we're reducing some of the boominess. And these are all, actually, this one is kind of a more surgical cut, but everything else is more of like a sweetening thing. And then in his low register, and I'll play this for you.
Now is the time for all good men to come to the...
This is just the bass part.
Years ago,
that's just the
a new nation,
low rumble. You're able to solo just that frequency, and it's a resonance boost at 113 and down. So it's really, you can zero in on that, just that low push, that energy. And then we're using an opto compressor, which always sounds great to me on a voiceover. And that's pretty much all of the parts and pieces that we're using the Scheps Omni Channel for. And then I think this really kind of puts it over the top. The Avalon 737, it's a legendary classic piece of gear that voiceover artists consider it to be the pinnacle. The hardware is fantastic. I think the Universal Audio plug-in version of this is just as incredible. And I'm doing some more sweetening with the EQ. We are using the EQ. I've got the output down, and I'm using the preamp gain to give it even a little bit more of that vacuum tube coloration with the preamp. And that's kind of what these things are known for. It kind of interjects a little bit of style. It's got its own flavor, its own color, as they call it. I am using the EQ after the compressor, and we're doing a kind of a light compression, fast release, and it's kind of a medium to fast attack with the compressor. So we're going to hear what all three of these processors sound like when used together in this order, and I will, again, play the raw file without any processing, and then I'll activate all three of these plugins.
Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. 7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
I reduced the threshold here on both of the de-esser frequencies just to take off a little bit more of that, the S's, the harsh sound there. It's difficult because listening in earphones and listening into the monitors, sometimes you'll get a different sound, but I still think we can push those back just a little bit. All right, let's hear it once again. I'll toggle it on and off again a couple times. Here's the raw file first.
Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. 7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
With all the EQ and processing that you're able to do, you could accentuate some, and then you can reduce others and really sculpt and change the audio into what you want. And I really think that this, because it's recorded so well and because he has such great gear, it just sounds fantastic. What a huge, just wonderful, smooth, commanding, bold sound that he has. So props to Sam. If you have questions about any of the work that I do, please leave them in the comments. The website is lennyb.com, voiceover tips training, and you can also find information about the custom processing service that I offer. Subscribe to the channel for more voiceover audio videos like this. And when you record your voice, the sound that you get through your speakers and your earphones when you're recording, it should inspire you. It should help you create and assist you become more of an artist. You should love the sound of your voice. Let's make your voice sound better. Thanks for watching.